this. You're going to have to submit an LOI to put an offer out on the table. Sometimes you'll have to submit multiple. Sometimes you'll submit one. Sometimes you see the deal and you don't even want to submit one. So this is a very important topic, and I'm very excited for it. All right, let's get to it. So for those of you guys that are new, this is the team. Yeah, it's very, very straightforward. You have Oscar and Ione on the left. Oscar's the visionary out of the couple. Ione is the integrator. Amazing power couple there. They freaking kill it in everything they do. There's a couple of the things that they do down listed there below: deal structure, investor relations, underwriting, asset management, but it's so much more than that. We can't even put it all on one page. Then you have myself and KJ on the right picture. KJ is the visionary out of the duo, and I'm more of the integrator. Again, you have some of our roles there, but again, that's always evolving, always changing. So let's move on. So just some rules and expectations. These are the same rules and expectations from the previous videos, but it's the same rules as always, and we want to make sure we go over them as well. So this is the show, and I know Oscar has mentioned it before, and I mentioned it before, but we were always told go find the deal. No one really showed us the steps to go and get the deal. So that's why we're doing it, and we expect that you guys will use this information as blueprints for you guys in the future. It's based on our business model and our experiences. Every market's going to be different, so keep that in mind when you are following this. You will have to make adjustments as necessary for your particular market. Hold all questions until the Q&A. Write them down. Put them in the chat so you don't forget them. Whatever it is, just hold them all to the end. We will have a Q&A. And most important, Oscar already said it, but you guys need to be networking with each other in this chat. There's some powerhouses here in the chat, and if you are sleeping on the chat, then you are really missing out. So definitely network is going to change the game for you. Okay. Our why and our mission. We are wanting to help change the game. That is what we are doing. We want to provide that extended arm to help you guys get to the next step. You know, we are still newer in this space. We've been doing it for about 9-10 months now, something like that. And, you know, we've taken action. We've made some moves, and we want to also help you guys do the same thing by providing that extra support. So that's why we're here. That's what we're doing this for. That's why we bring you this free content. Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's about to get good.
Are you guys ready?
Fires in the chat, guys. This is about to be good. I'm excited. If you don't like it, that's fine too. You could just let me know and tell me what I need to change to do better. But we want to be better for you guys. I'm excited. All right. So you just did your walkthrough, right? Last video was property walkthrough. So the expectation now is you've already performed that walkthrough. You went, you saw the property, you walked it, you asked all the questions that we told you to ask. You asked questions that we didn't tell you to ask, but you thought of. You were a boss multifamily investor at this walkthrough. Now what do you do? What's the next steps? Well, first thing you're going to do is you're going to debrief. If it's just you, then you need to figure out, you need to strategize. If it's you and a team, then you need to all get on the same page. Something that Oscar and I and the team, we like to do is after every walkthrough, if we can do a quick little powwow right then and there, we will. If we can't, or it's a little uncomfortable, like maybe the seller is still just staying there waiting for us to leave because it happens.
It
Then
happens
we just
before.
drive off to go eat. We'll go eat. We always have a celebratory lunch or dinner or whatever time it is, because you know I enjoy food a lot. If you guys don't know me, like I'm eating right now, so a little hint, but it's also a great time to digest your food and everything you just saw and heard. And while it's fresh in your mind is when you really, really want to have this conversation. So some of the things that you're going to want to cover, again, do it as soon as possible while it's fresh in your mind. So after seeing everything you saw, do you still actually like the property? Very important question. This should be the first thing you answer. do we want to proceed? That's it right there. Do you like the property, or was it a complete train wreck? Because sometimes the pictures will look really good, and then you actually get to it and it's not so great. It has happened, happens all the time.
Hmm.
Did you actually get to see everything that you needed to, or were you corralled away from some spots? This has happened in not one property, but a few of them. They've actually done this to us, where they had some bad areas that they didn't want us to see. Like, for example, we always use is the East Texas one.
Hmm.
And I wasn't actually there. This was Oscar and our other partner at the time. They were corralled away from seeing a few of the units.
Yep.
When Oscar had asked, like, hey, what's over there? Can we go over there? Like, oh, no, you don't want to see that unit. It's bad. Well, no, we want to see the worst you've got, the best you got, and in between. We want to know everything about the property we're potentially about to put millions of dollars into.
Right.
So you need to make sure you saw everything. If you didn't, then are there any new concerns or old concerns that were not addressed? So if while you were there, you should have already looked at your T12 and financials and rent rolls and got all of those concerns addressed that you had about the property, whether it's something specific there, or something new that you saw when you were there. For example, that same example, the units that Oscar went to look at is the ones that were down. They said they were bad. It's like, oh no, they're just down units. They're okay. You just don't want to see them.
Yeah.
Well, one of them was like what, 5 months sitting in mold,
Yep.
something
Yep.
like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's definitely a new concern for us that we just found out about.
Yeah, and they
And
didn't tell us that. They did not tell us that. We were herded away on purpose, and you can tell that the brokers did not want us to even look at that direction. And they kept asking us, "Are you guys done? Are you guys done?" Like trying to hurry us on to leave. But luckily, and I'll touch up on this in a little bit. Well, actually, right now, Joseph, and sorry if I
no,
go
you're
ahead,
good.
but what happened was I actually got the opportunity to go to the property again to go and check out the plumbing before I put this thing under contract. I somehow Rico Suaved myself into convincing them, can I go check this property out before we submit another LOI and bring my contractor with me? And they gave me that opportunity. When I was there, none of the brokers were there. It was just me and the property manager. That's it. And oh my gosh, did the property manager opened up big time. And they told me everything about that property. I'm talking about everything, guys. Plumbing's bad. The neighborhood's bad. No one wants to manage this property. It has a bad reputation. She spilled the beans.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but I went ahead and got a second opinion by a local broker who I knew, who I trusted in that market. And they also told me the same thing. This was like their, I don't know, 20th property manager on this property, and nobody wants to manage it. And it's got such a bad reputation that nobody wants to buy it. And so that's how important it is that after your walkthrough, did you see anything that was concerning, or did you still like it afterwards, right? Even that property manager told me that they did not feel comfortable after it got dark in that property, and they manage that property, guys.
That's a
That's a red
huge
flag.
red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red flag. So anyway, keep going, bro.
Yeah. No, great point. Great point. And feel free to add any input at any point in time.
Yep.
Um, so those questions that you guys were supposed to, when you're digging through the financials, you're looking for fluctuations and things that are that don't make sense. So you need to make sure you're asking those questions, whether it's to the property manager, the broker, the seller, whoever it is that's there and can answer it. You need to make sure you get those questions answered. If you didn't, or if you have more questions after walking the property, then you need to make sure you get those addressed as well, whether that's in a follow-up call after the walkthrough or immediately there at the property. Definitely something that you need to do. And the property manager, I put this question in there because it can, I guess, define the information that you just got, right? If you go in and the property manager is like, I don't know, I'll have to check this. They didn't really know a lot, and they didn't answer the questions to the way that you felt comfortable with. That's very telling of the property manager. One, that could be an area of weak point and why property not doing so well is maybe they don't care or they're not the best employee, whatever it may be. If they were knowledgeable and answered all of your questions very confidently and they knew it, then you can feel a little bit better with the answers that they were giving. And on the flip side of that, like, again, if they were not knowledgeable and said, oh yeah, we don't have any problems here. Well, are you really going to believe that they don't have any problems? You know what I mean? So you need to really think about how that property manager or the broker, whoever it was that was walking you around, answered and carried themselves, so you can determine whether or not that information is good information or bad information, or whether you need to dig further into it.
Mhm.
Okay, this is very important, especially for all the newbies, right? This is something you really want to consider: is do you have the team or the partners with the experience to handle the project that you're potentially about to take on, right? If you're going to look at a property that needs a complete gut job or facelift, you want to make sure you have a partner or a team member that's either done something like that before or has construction experience, whatever it may be. You want to make sure you have those people in place. Even if they haven't seen the property yet, you want to start thinking about who could be your partners on the deal, because especially early on, you're going to be teaming up with a lot of different people. And while you're figuring out what works for you, what you don't like, what you do like, what's not working for you, all those things are things you're going to figure out early on by teaming up with different people. Every deal that we do, we learn something new every single time, and we learn how we liked something and how we didn't like other things. So, and we're constantly changing and evolving moving forward. So that one is very, very important. You want to make sure, even if you have no experience at all, can you go bring somebody on that can help you with the deal? That is crucial, and it will help you take down a lot more properties by doing deals with other people than trying to do everything yourself. All right. After all of that has been said, the final question you ask yourself, and notice the first question is, do you still like the property after what you just saw? The last question you want to ask yourself is, do you want to spend more time pursuing this? Because this is just a start. You're just getting started with this property. There's a lot that is about to go into it, just on the LOI and the negotiation side, as well as all of the future stuff, the due diligence, everything, the closing, the raising money, whatever you have to do. Do you want to pursue this property? Do you feel good about pursuing it? If so, great. Then we move on. You recap your walkthrough. Now you need to go back to your underwriting, because that's what's important, right? The underwriting, it tells you whether or not the deal is a good deal or not. So you need to take everything you saw, all the questions, everything you got answered, go back to the underwriting, hit the ground running with the analyzer. You're going to put in the new rehab CapEx estimate. Typically, you'll ask the property manager, what are you guys normally budgeting for these units that you've turned? We went over all of that in the last video. So you're going to input the new estimates that you got. You're going to go and this is also the time you're going to start calling everybody. If you haven't called people and gotten quotes for everything, you're going to call them right now and lock in these numbers so you can send out an accurate LOI. So you're going to get insurance quotes. They're going to be preliminary at first, but it's relatively accurate, give or take a few thousand. You're going to double check the taxes. If you haven't looked at what the taxes are in that area, you're going to go figure out the tax rate and the most recent appraisal and adjust accordingly. You need to confirm your property management and who you're potentially going to work with. This is a great time to start calling around and asking for different property management companies what they're charging. Do they do management fee only, or do they do management fee or small management fee with payroll? What does that scenario look like, and what can they handle? What is their experience? That's when you're going to do all of that. Okay. You don't necessarily have to do this right now, but I put it in here because it's a good decision to start doing this now. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to do any of the books on any of the properties other than the high level stuff. I don't want it to be my job to be the accountant for each property. So we budget in our underwriting about $6,000 a year. It could be less, could be more. But we budget that for an accountant, and we're going to get an accountant every single time for every single property because we don't want to do that. We are going to hire that out. So it is very smart to do that. Again, that one you don't necessarily have to, but we highly recommend it. Okay, this is really important. You want to make sure that even though all your numbers look good, like the income and expenses and all your inputs, the loan, all of that looks good, but you need to make sure that your exit is solid. You want to make sure that that reversion cap rate or the exit cap rate is conservative, especially with what's going on in the market. You want to make sure that you are doing that conservatively. You're not being too aggressive, and you're going to put a lot of time and energy into this right here. You're going to do a lot of stress testing.
Yeah. And then a lot of the things that, sorry, Joseph, I know you got
go ahead. You're good.
A lot of the things that you see on here, like the second bullet where it says get accurate insurance quotes. Again, it's going to be a preliminary type of thing. So it is going to change as you go along. Same with maybe the taxes when you're looking at them, because here in Texas, they get reassessed every year. So it does change, right? So you have to make sure you know when those changes happen. And then the property management, that's going to be ongoing. So at the more you do this, guys, the more experience you'll get, and you'll know exactly for that market what it requires. Like, I think you guys were on a call yesterday with the insurance companies, and they were talking about coastal areas and what type of insurance per unit you should be underwriting at. And the number was surprising, right? But at least we know what it is in the coastal areas, and you have an idea. So even if you don't get like actual insurance quote, at least try to find out from someone who's experienced, or maybe just someone at a higher level who does insurance, and ask them, hey, what would you underwrite your insurance per unit on this market? And that gives you a better idea, right? Because I think they were talking about in coastal areas of, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, Joseph, but like on the low end of 1,500 per unit or something like that, right? So, having that like in markets like maybe Houston or somewhere in Florida, $1,500 a unit, guys, that's pretty high.
That's crazy.
Right? That's crazy high. So you want to keep those numbers in mind, and then find out what markets those rates are going at, and you'll start getting better as you go. So don't let this intimidate you, like, I got to go talk to an insurance person right now. It's like, no, just get some of those ideas, or if not, ask someone that knows that market, and they'll give you a better understanding, so you know what to look at your preliminary underwriting.
Exactly. And the closer you are to the direct source, the person that's actually going to be providing the quote, the better it is, because it's more accurate. It's closer to what is actually going to be charged. And look, I see Christy says Florida is averaging 2K now. Yikes. That's crazy. So you're also going to want to go back through the T12 and the rent roll, double checking. Did you miss anything? I know even now, even to this day, I still miss some stuff. I know was looking at a deal, and Ione double checked it for me, because I always want a second opinion. Always on all my deals that we proceed with, or they get passed, like, hey, that one looks good. Let's look into it further. I always get double checks, triple checks even. I always do it. It's a good idea. And the most recent one, and she had noticed that on the very last month of the T12 was the insurance had changed drastically. It went from like 17,000 a month to 34,000 a month. And that increased the overall price by like 3 or 4x of what it was previously. Completely kills the deal. You know what I mean? So very, very, very important to double check always all of your work. Oh, look, there you go. Double check, triple check, stress test. So if you guys don't know what stress test is, that's when everything looks good. You have the plan. Now you start playing with the analyzer a little bit. What is the breaking point for this deal? How early can I sell? What's the worst cap rate I could sell at that time period and still be okay? How long can I hold it? What does it look like if I hold it longer? What if for whatever reason we have to refinance at this point? What is the minimum interest rate I can be okay with? I mean, our maximum interest rate I can be okay with, things like that. You start putting in worst case and best case scenarios for all these different things that you can think of. And at what point does the deal not work anymore? That's what you're trying to figure out. That's what stress test is. So that's tightening up your underwriting. Oscar, do you want to add anything to this before we move on?
No, you're good, bro.
Okay. Very, very, very important. You guys don't have to be an underwriter. If you're the person on the phone, you don't have to be the underwriter. That's why team is important. Get somebody or be somebody that is good at this stuff and then have other people that are good at other things. Team, 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 network, network, network. Very important.
All the VIPs are very familiar with this on stress testing. Steven
Yeah.
Steele, Christy, Max. Who else is on here?
I saw Jose
Michelle,
earlier and
Jose,
Michelle. Yeah.
Data. All these are VIPs and they're very familiar with doing this stuff. So if you guys need help, reach out to the VIPs. They can help you stress test and look at your numbers.
All right. Well, let's move on. This is a good one. You ready? So the underwriting looked good, right? Did it look good? Is the deal juicy? Does the deal have legs, guys? If you've been watching me for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If the deal has legs and it's looking juicy, then this sounds like a deal that you should put an LOI on. So that's
By
where
the way, that's Joseph's way of saying he coined this like, does it have legs? And we're like, what are you talking about, bro?
it just looks good, man. What can I say? I like legs. All right. Preparing your LOI. This is the fun part, right? Now, if you guys haven't ever prepared an LOI, I understand. It sounds scary. It's super terrifying. You know, it's something I never thought I could do, or we're about to put an offer in for millions of dollars. Guys, it's don't overthink it. It is very, very simple. All you're doing is filling out a little document, a PDF, whatever, Word, and it's very straightforward. So we're going to simplify it, okay? So some of the things that you're going to need for an LOI, and this will be across the board. Sometimes you will need additional things, but this is pretty generalization of what you're going to need to complete an LOI. First thing, a template. You're going to need a template from somewhere. Now, there's a whole bunch of them out there. You can ask the broker that you're working with for a template. Most brokerages have LOI templates that you can use. And even if the broker you're working with doesn't, you can go call different brokers and ask for an LOI template. Hang on. Oh, sorry. It's raining, so allergies are gonna be killing me today. I might have to step out and get a Zyrtec here in a second. Property name. Got to know what property you're offering on, and the address. Got to know where it's at. Another thing that I didn't include here is the unit count. You don't necessarily have to put that, but we always put the unit count. We'll do property name, X amount of units in the one deal. That's what we do. Then you're going to need to know your offer price or offer prices. You could have multiple offers if you're, thinking outside the box, being creative. You can have multiple offers. Here's our conventional offer. Here's our assumable, and we'll pay the rest. Here's our seller finance offer. You have a whole bunch of different kinds. Okay. The structure. I kind of just went over that. What type of offer is it? You need to know that. If you're not the underwriter, then you need to make sure that you've coordinated with your underwriter what the particular deal structure is going to be on that. For our team, we have the underwriters put together the deal and the analyzer, and then in the comments, once they upload the deal and say, hey, this one looks good, it's ready to move on, it's time to put an LOI in, here's the offer. And they're very specific about the details that they provide in the offer. So very important to do that. You're going to need to know how many days of due diligence that you want to have. Typically, this is 30 to 45. It could be less, could be more. It's up to you. But this is essentially, for those in the single family space, this is your inspection period. After this, typically your money goes hard and it's non-refundable after that. So that's what your due diligence is. Sometimes also referred to as a feasibility period. So if you ever see feasibility period, it's the same thing. It's your due diligence period. Closing period. You're going to want to know how many days you have to close. Is this an assumable loan? Then you're probably going to want at least 60 days of closing. Is this a seller finance deal? Well, you probably don't need that much, especially if you don't need to bring that much money to the table. Then you might only need like 5 or 10. I think we had 3 days closing on the last deal we had, right? Something crazy like that. And it's typically 30 to 45 as well. The most common that you'll see is a 30-30 or 45-45 or a combination of the two. That's typically the most common. Nowadays, for us, we're doing a lot of 30 and 60 for assumable loans. We're doing a lot of those now. And if there's any additional contingencies, like for example, we don't buy new properties that are not stabilized. We want to see them stabilized, but we will buy them if the current owner gets them stabilized to a certain point. So we'll put in the contingency, provided that the occupancy is at X%, something like that. You want to put any contingencies in the term section of the LOI. Oscar, I don't think I have anything else.
No, the only other contingency might be like a financing contingency on the closing period. So if, for example, you have a 60-day closing and you want an extension on there, you could add it in the LOI, but that's getting too into the weeds. That typically happens in the property on the PSA, on the purchase and sale agreement. But it is sometimes good to have it on there. So whenever it does come time to the purchase and sale agreement, everybody already knows that that's going to be in the purchase and sale agreement. So, it depends on you whether you want to put that on there or not. But other than that, that's it.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 second.
Who's submitted an LOI before? Put one in the chat if you guys have submitted an LOI. That was quick, bro. He was like speed dial.
He was prepped, man. He had those ones ready for you.
Like Max has the fires ready.
I'm just laptop.
You're good. Felix
Sorry,
have submitted
guys. I have
LOIs
everything
before.
ready, but then I realized that some of this stuff is personal.
Look at this. Max has submitted an LOI. Sorry if I mispronounced Usmain. You've submitted an LOI. Christy submitted an LOI.
Let's go. I love it. I love it.
Cecilia, nice. She submitted an LOI too.
All right, guys. So these are a few examples. Our current template, we decided not to show that template because is personal information. It has a bunch of our stuff on it, so we decided not to show that in this video because we never know who's watching. But here's a bunch of other examples that when we started out, you guys can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we reached out to, like I said, a bunch of different brokers that we were working with and asked for LOI templates. So these are just some of the templates that we were given in those early stages, and we drafted our own template based on a bunch of these here. So let's just go through it. And I think one of these is actually a single family, but you could use it as a multifamily as well. So very, very simple, guys. Look, we're interested in purchasing the blank apartments at blank address in blank. Oh, thanks, babe. And blank city of Texas at blank number of units right there. Okay. Here's the purchaser. So we could put our entity and then our name right there, purchase price, EMD. This looks like due diligence materials and things like that. Basically, what does that look like? How soon will we get our materials? How soon will we get the access? Here's the closing period, due diligence period. If there's any extensions, what does that look like? So this one is a pretty good LOI. Honestly, I like this one. For me, the simpler, the better. The easier and concise and easy to read. That's what I like. I don't want a 5-6 page LOI template. I mean, one, that sucks to fill out. Two, I would hate to be on the receiving end of 4 LOIs, all 6 pages long. That's a lot of reading. I don't really want to do that. So short and sweet, simple for me is the best way to go.
Mm-hmm. Although you will see some of those with other brokers, 6 pages, 7 pages. So just FYI.
Absolutely. They're out there 100%. And there's nothing wrong with them either. They're probably more detailed. But like I said, I'm a simple guy. I like to keep it simple. So that one's a good one. Here's another. I think this is the single family one. but it's a good example of what you can do, right? They just listed all the properties there, hit the purchase price, the terms, and all they put was bank financing. So this would be like new debt. So you could put, your seller finance terms right here, or the assumable loan amount and additional terms, things like that. EMD, the amount, the time and day. Here's that feasibility period or due diligence, right? So that's your inspection time. What does access look like? Closing costs, survey. So this is another solid one. Again, it's pretty straightforward, and I mean it's a little all over the place with some different fonts there, different sizing. So I wouldn't say that this is the best one I've ever seen, but it has the content in there that is good. So that's a whole lot of sellers. You see that? Okay. Here's another one. This is Keller Williams commercial. Very standard, guys. You see, it's pretty much the exact same content, every single LOI. I won't spend too much time going into each one of them, but I'll show you all of them, right? Just so you can kind of see the difference. So that's that one, Keller Williams. This is another one. I think it's pretty similar to the other one we had. This is SVN, Sperry Van Ness. Right. It's not hard, guys. It's very, very simple stuff. That's why I say don't get overwhelmed with it. I mean, most of us here have signed some kind of real estate contract, even if it was just for the home that you purchased. You've dealt with something similar before, and purchase contracts are so much more in depth than this. And this one has everything written out. So these are all the terms. It just wrote out everything. I'm not a fan of this one because it doesn't have the sections. So it doesn't make it clear to read. So you have to actually come in and read all of this. So I'm not a fan of this one, but to each their own.
Yeah.
Here's the last one I'll show you guys. Pretty good stuff. This one's pretty detailed.
And then if you don't feel comfortable going through an LOI, I mean, I would always say read them before you send them off, or read them and try to understand them before. But if you don't, then reach out to an attorney, because we're not attorneys, guys. And some of these have verbiage on here that, maybe like, what the heck am I reading? All these legal jargon in here that I don't understand. Then go and seek out an attorney if you have to, right? But for the most part, they're pretty straightforward, and a lot of them are non-binding, right? That means you're not even committed, right? It's just a letter of intent. So don't let it scare you. If you see ours at the very top will say non-binding letter of intent, meaning that we're not committed to anything on there. It's just a letter of intent. It's just a piece of paper. So don't let it intimidate you. I would just make sure that if you are doing something, and make sure it's non-binding, because if it is binding, then you are committing to it.
Yeah. This is one of those that has all the large mumbo jumbo legal jargon. This is a very detailed one. So if you want it, this is an 8-pager, guys. So there's a good example of an 8-pager. So that's that. Let's move on. All right. So you sent out the LOI, you drafted it, you put it together, it looked good, and you sent it out. What next? Well, one of two things are going to happen. Well, one of three things, I guess, really. First thing that could happen is they say, no, hell no, I'm not doing that, which happens a lot, especially right now with the way this market is you're missing out on a lot of opportunities because sellers are just not ready for this shift that has occurred. They're still in the 2021, 2022 market where business was good for them. The prices were high. It's just not that market anymore. So this is I would say happens to 80% of the LOIs that we send out. So what do you do now? So the first thing, you're going to strategize. You're going to figure out exactly that question. What do I do now? What direction do we want to do right now? So one of the best, besides talking to your team, right? That should be the first people you talk with. The next people is going to be here, your deal source, whether it's the broker that sent you the deal or a real estate agent that sent you the deal or wholesaler. It could be other options. Those are just a few that I put. You're going to strategize with them, figure out what the best plan of action moving forward is. that could be saying, hey, we're gonna just hold firm, we're not gonna move forward, or we're just gonna walk away. Or it could be, hang on, it could be, let's just present the best offer that we can put and see what happens. And we'll just leave it at that. You really just want to figure out what makes the most sense for you, how much you really want this property. Like if this hits all of the check boxes, it might make more sense to just shoot your last shot. Here's our best offer that we can do. We really want the property. I know for sure that at this price, even this is our best and final offer, I know we're still going to be okay. Maybe that's when you want to submit that one. But like I said, that you can also hold firm and just not do that. Most cases, you're going to do that, either hold firm or just tell them, hey, I appreciate you taking a look. Sorry, we weren't able to make it happen. I'll circle back around with you and see how things are going. And that's what you do. You add them to your follow-up list. This is a sales game. It's what you're doing. You're doing sales. So you're talking and following up constantly following up. And very important to actually follow up. I put this on there because a lot of people fall through the cracks all the time, because you need to have a very, very good system and process for your follow-up. At least set a date that, okay, when this date comes around, it's going to send me a task to do this follow-up, or put it in your calendar right away. Like something, if you don't have any automations on your CRM or your business, then just go in and make it a process for you. Every time that you say, okay, I'm going to follow up on this deal, that you go into your calendar and just pick a date that you're going to follow up on, and then you stick to it. So very, very, very important. That is how you get deals. The deals are in the follow-up. So you're going to get told no the first few times around, and then you'll probably follow up a couple times. You'll still get told no. But then 3-4 months later, they come back around. Their price has dropped now. And it's actually the price that you offered the first time. But yesterday's price is not today's price. Remember that too. Before we move on, Oscar, do you want to add anything to any of that?
Yeah, the only other thing I would say is, if you know that your LOI wasn't accepted, then go back and ask the broker or the seller or whoever you were working with, typically broker or seller, right? And ask them feedback, right? Like why wasn't that my offer wasn't accepted? You may have different responses, but that will help you out too in determining, why it didn't get accepted. Sometimes we get things like, hey, you guys were the very, very like the worst offer on the table, meaning like we were the lowest, right? We came in the lowest. And then, well, hey, what did you guys get, or anything like that? And you can see what the other, maybe they'll tell you what the other ones that they're considering came in at, right? And you can go back to your underwriting and be like, okay, we submitted at like a 7 cap, but they're submitting at a 5 cap. Like, what's going on here, right? Like, just the feedback is great, so you know exactly what it is that you're looking at. And you'll be surprised, because the follow-up, right, what Joseph has on the last one, people have beaten us like that, right? Because they've submitted a ridiculous offer, and then come to find out a month or two, that same property's back on the market, right? And like, what happened? Why, you asked them and like, oh yeah, we accepted an offer, we went under contract, but then the buyer did not perform. Well, yeah, it didn't perform because the underwriting said that there's no way a 5 cap could make sense, right? So then you just keep following up on those, because even though your LOI may not be accepted, keep following up and ask for the feedback, because they could come back on the market again. You knew the underwriting, you knew it wouldn't make sense. You do the stress testing, and you're just going to be like, okay, I know this is going to come back in the market. There's no way, unless they're like super, super huge institutional buyer, there's just no way someone can make this work, right? So it's important to find out that feedback, is the only thing I would say.
Yeah. And one thing I thought of that's not on this topic, but by doing that follow-up, you're going to be strengthening the relationship with whoever that lead source is, whether it's the broker, the wholesaler, agent, whoever that is. You're going to be building that relationship. And remember, familiarity will build that bond. Even if you guys aren't like talking about, personal lives or whatever it is, if you're constantly talking to that person, even if it's just about business, whatever it is, they're going to be familiar with you, and they're going to be more comfortable with you just by the constant follow-ups.
Yep.
The constant follow-ups are going to make them familiar with you, and they're going to trust you more and bring you the good deals first. Man, this food looks delicious. All right. All right, Oscar, this is your slide actually. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so now remember I said there's three things that could happen. The first slide was what we just talked about, them saying, hell no, I'm not, it's not gonna work for us. The other is what if they counter? And typically that's a great sign. It means you're close. It means that they're considering the offer you just gave, but they wanted to send their own to see if you come up or if you could play ball, right? So it's time to negotiate. And that's why I said this is Oscar's slide. This is Mr. Rico Suave himself. So here, let me get everything pulled up.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So guys, whenever you get a LOI, say they counter with you, right? You need to know what the max that your underwriting allows to make sure that you're not overextending yourself, right? That's why we're talking about stress testing your deal, right? So maybe you submit an LOI at a price point that you know that you still have wiggle room to submit in case a counter did happen, right? So that's step number one, is make sure that you know what that looks like. So if you did have to counter again, then you knew how much you can go up to. There's also going to be where the communications happen, because you're going to be talking to the broker or the seller, and you're going to go back and forth, and they're going to, if it's a broker, you'll be talking to them and they'll be like, hey, seller countered your LOI. They put this, they put that, and then you're going to be talking to them and letting them know, okay, well, let me review it and see what happens. And we'll either counter or we'll stay firm. So it is a negotiation at this point if you have a counter. Also, if you need to, I would say be prepared to be a little flexible. If the deal is absolutely good, right? Then sure, I can be flexible on some of the things that they countered on. Or if I know that it's just a deal that's good, but not necessarily great, then you need to know, what you can and cannot tweak, if anything, right? So think outside of the box when you're trying to get this counter, because we've had counters, guys, that from a seller who are savvy investors, right? They're normally investors, they're savvy. They counter back with some creative stuff that we were like, damn, like this guy knows what he's talking about. Like seller finance option, they said, yeah, we'll do seller finance contingent on you do this, this, and that. And we looked at that LOI. We couldn't even get mad at this guy. We were like,
it was such a good counter.
yeah, it was such a good counter. I'd be like, damn, if I was him, I did, now I know what I would add of mine if I did a seller finance component, right? And it was such a good counter that we were like, man, this is awesome. This is so many ways to get creative with it. So go to the next one, Joseph, the little, what you call it, the asterisk. Okay. So it's okay also, guys, if you want to stay firm, I would even make sure that before you negotiate, is it worth you coming up or is it worth you being flexible? It is absolutely 100% okay to stay firm. Just because they counter does not mean you have to counter back. It is okay for you to stay firm. And goes back to the communication, right? If you have a great relationship with the brokers, in which we've had before, they'll let us know who's in the running, right? How many groups are in front of or are running the same whatever with us, like near the same purchase price, who's being considered. And if I have a great relationship with the broker, I'll be like, hey, man, just knowing on the back of my mind, right? Like, okay, there's only two other people and they're kind of in it here. I'm going to stay firm. I'm going to call their bluff. And for me, I know that I can stay firm. I'm not going to change it. Right. You gotta remember, KJ says this the best. You are the prize. Right. So make sure you have that mentality too. If you need to, cool. But if you don't counter. It's okay to stay firm.
Hold up. You just dropped some nuggets there. I want to go back. Did you say the broker will tell you what the other offers are on the table and where you're at in the playing field? How the hell do you do that? How do you find that out?
Create a great relationship with the brokers that you talk to. I'll give you guys an example. We were in a running for a deal in Dallas. It was a portfolio deal, amazing properties. And there was two that we really liked out of the portfolio. One was okay. And we submitted an LOI for just those two. We didn't want the other one. And the broker every step of the way was telling us where we were as far as like the standings or negotiations for the LOIs, who was being considered, who wasn't, right? And the only reason we didn't get awarded that deal was because the other person, they took all three of the properties and not just two like us. So the seller could just be done with it, right? They don't have to worry about that other one. But we knew all that information because we had such a great relationship with the broker. We just didn't want to take on that other one because it was a headache. It was a super headache, and it wouldn't make sense for our business model. That's the only reason we didn't do the deal. But that's what I'm telling you is if you guys have a great relationship with a broker, it's key because they will tell you everything. And that's what you need most out of everything is if you take anything from the negotiation part is the relationship. That's what you need. That way you know strategically what you can and cannot do. So yeah, they'll tell you if you have a great relationship.
Dude, I love it. And it's as simple as that, guys. It's just asking the right questions and in that familiarity, following up with them, even if you're just calling to check in on what's going on, it's going to help the relationship. Unless you're, cussing them out every time you see them. That probably isn't the best way to go about it. All right. Anything else you want to add to this, Lanier Oscar?
No, that's it.
Okay. So the last thing is you got an accepted LOI. That's the third thing that could happen when you send out an LOI. This is great news. Well, it could mean this is great news, right? You got an accepted LOI, but it could also mean that you came in way too high. But let's just assume that you did your underwriting perfectly, everything was solid, you got an accepted LOI. Now what? Now what the hell happens? This is new territory, right? Well, this is another thing that Oscar does for us and does so well. This is the time where you start drafting the PSA, the purchase and sale agreement. This is when that non-binding LOI turns into a binding contract. And this is usually not a short process. This could take some time. So by now, it's time to get serious, right? By now, you should be speaking to an attorney. You should already have an attorney in mind. We have some pretty good ones here in Texas, but this is a transactions attorney, not an SEC attorney. This attorney is specifically just to draft the closing documents and to review all of the documents throughout the transaction. This is very, very important. I would not do a deal without one. It has been super, super great to have one on our side, especially the one we currently have. He's awesome, super fast in comparison to attorney timing. If you guys have done a deal before, you know what I'm talking about. That stuff takes a long time sometimes. So, there you go. This process can take some time, so please be prepared. You're going to go back and forth at least a few times with your seller, the broker, the seller's attorney, however you're handling the negotiations. It might even just be your attorneys going back and forth with each other based on what you provided to your attorney and what they provided to their attorney.
Yeah. And then to touch up on that too, I would even if you're going through a broker or even the seller, I would let them know beforehand that, hey, I'm going to be going through my attorney to draft up the purchase and sale agreement, just so that they're aware of it, right? Because more than likely they'll do the same. And again, this model that we're talking about is our business model. Yeah, you can probably get away with some of the smaller multifamily that's like under maybe 20 units or under. You could do your own purchase and sell agreement. Maybe you have been doing it that way. But for us specifically, we are going to go through an attorney just because of our buy box and what we've got going on with some of the investor relations that we have. We want to make sure everyone is protected. So that's why we go through an attorney. And because we'll also take the syndication model. So we're going to make sure that those attorneys are in place as well. So that's why we use an attorney.
Yeah. They'll also help you draft or create your LLCs for those of y'all that are concerned or confused in that regard too. They will do that for you too. Very, very important, guys, that you take your time with this. This is not a step that you want to rush. You don't want to just get excited and be like, oh, I just want to get the deal already. I want the seller to sign the contract. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to put yourself in a position that is not good, and you're going to have to backpedal and pivot out of that. It's not good to do that. You want to, like I said, take your time, cross your T's, dot your I's, all that good stuff, making sure that you are getting everything that you absolutely need out of this. And be aware that getting an attorney could potentially have upfront costs as well. Just depends on that attorney's specific structure for their fee. Some of them will ask for a retainer up front. Some of them will take their payment at closing. It just depends on how they operate. Definitely, that's a question you want to ask when interviewing different attorneys for your deals. If you don't have the money, you can bring a partner that does have the money to help with this part. So that's another thing about having the right team members in place. This is another one of those times about having the right team members in place. One of our team members is here in the chat right now. Huge shout out. Yeah, make sure you have all your must-haves. Your must-haves are the things that you absolutely need in the contract for the deal to make sense. This is going to be all of those contingencies that you talked about, all the seller financing terms or assumable terms that you had initially agreed on. This is going to come from your LOI and the continued back and forth with the seller, because there may even be some additions on your side and the seller side even after the LOI was accepted. So keep in mind that that is almost a guarantee to happen on your side and their side. So just be aware that that does happen and be prepared to hold your ground and or be a little flexible. Just depends on what that situation calls for. Did you want to add anything else, Oscar?
Nope. No, you're good.
Okay. So once you've completed that, guys, now it's safe to assume that you have a signed contract. You're on the next step. That's it. That's it, guys. You got a signed contract. That's the next step. That's the whole LOI process as far as what we do. Obviously, there's the nitty-gritty details that go involved in there too, but the best way to learn that stuff is really just by going out there and doing it. I hope that this was valuable for you guys, and that it will give you a good direction, or at least a path to proceed, path of progress to absolutely crush it. You were going to say something, Oscar?
No, that's it. This is the LOI process, and pre PSA. After this, obviously, there's still more that you'll do, and I think they will cover that in the next part of due diligence and closing, so that you guys have a better understanding of what happens in that actual process. But yeah, this was good, guys. I see a bunch of fires and a bunch of other emojis in the chat. I think you guys found this helpful. If you did, let us know. Like, shout us out on Instagram. Shout us out on their Facebook page. Here's the handles that Joseph is putting up on the screen. If you guys aren't following us, follow us there. Shout us out. Let everybody know that you got some value out of this Zoom today.
Guys, if you are not part of the VIPs and you want to be part of the VIPs, there's some VIPs in here. Shout out to Jada, Christy, Max, Jose. I saw Michelle earlier. I don't
Steven
Steele, Steven, Cecilia, and Christopher P. Man, lots of VIPs today. If you guys are interested in that, reach out to them, ask them about it, ask them how they like it. You don't need to ask us. You absolutely can. But I imagine, for me, myself, and I would reach out to the people that are currently doing it, see how they like it. That's what I did when I looked into sub 2. I did the same thing. I reached out to somebody who was in it and they loved it. So I joined. So that's what I recommend for you guys to do. If you're interested, reach out to those people, reach out to the people that are crushing it in the game, ask them about it, how they like it. That's all we'll say about that. Q&A time. So if you guys have some questions, raise your hand and we'll get you guys up on the stage, unmuted and everything. Let me close this out. Boom. There we go.
Man, Rob isn't here today. He's normally the first one with his hand up after this, man.
Man.
So Alan's asking, what is VIP again?
Yeah. You know what? Does one of my VIPs want to come up and tell them about it? I think that would be the best, honestly. Because I mean, I'm biased, right? You know, we created it. You don't want to hear somebody that's from biased. Does any of my VIPs want to come on and talk about what you guys do or get out of that? If not, I'll do it. You know, stage fright's a thing. At Max, Jada's calling you out. Max, you want to hop up here? Raise your hand so I can see you. Hang on, let me go find him.
Max is like, I'm out, man. See you later.
No, Max is a good one. I'm getting you up here, Max.
Oh man.
I found you.
All
There we
right.
go. All right, Max. So what is the $1 million VIP? How do you like it? Be honest.
Yeah, it's been great. They released like a very exclusive like MDU kind of vault thing, and it has like a whole bunch of resources that really can benefit you very, very heavily in your multifamily journey. They also give you on top of that a whole bunch of extra stuff. So like their analyzer that they use. I've been using it to underwrite a whole bunch of deals, and it's just amazing. And they actually just released a 2.0 version, which is just amazing. There's really just no words to describe how powerful and how much functionality it has. So yeah.
Shout out to the secret weapon, Ione.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're interested in that, just let let any of the VIPs reach out to any of them, and
Yeah, reach out to Max. They have links for you guys. They have links for you guys to join if you are interested in it. Definitely reach out to Max or any of the other VIPs. They'll definitely help you out and get you squared away with that. If you have any questions for us too, totally open. That's fine as well. Oscar, should we just announce what we had planned for the VIP since we're
I'm down. Go ahead.
So in addition to everything that Max said, we are also planning to do are we gonna call it the deal room? Is that what we're gonna
Deal
call it?
review, I think.
Deal review?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna call it. And we got the idea from multiple people are actually doing it, but essentially what we're gonna do is twice a month we'll sit down with the VIPs and have like a group call where they can bring whatever issues they have to the table. It'll be some dedicated time for them and all of them to get help on a deal or get it to the next step. Maybe they're stuck at some underwriting on it or something like that. It's going to be whatever they need in that moment. It'll probably be an hour each time, do twice a month. So we're super excited to start doing that. I think it's going to bring a lot of value. So we can't wait to release that out. We haven't set the times just yet, but that will be coming soon in the VIP Facebook group. So look out for that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else you want to add, Max? Because I see Jose's got his hand raised.
No. Other than that, it's just freaking amazing. So
Well, guys, shout out to Max. This guy is young and he is hungry and he is crushing it. He's out here in California, absolutely murdering it in the multifamily space. This guy is phenomenal. So if you need help underwriting deals, this is your guy right here. He is awesome. He's crushing it. So appreciate you, brother.
yeah, likewise.
Thank you, Max.
All right, Jose, let's get you up here. I see you looking fresh. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was working my regular jobs, my regular realtor crap.
That's the fun stuff, man. That's the day to day.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's been good. I just wanted to say, like, damn, I'm looking, I've been missing out for a couple weeks now. Just watching from the sidelines because I've been so busy on my regular stuff. And I'm seeing Max just like take off. And I remember you guys said when I did VIP initially, and you guys made the analyzer at the beginning, we want to give so much value that it feels like you're robbing us. Seeing Max's growth, Jada's growth, and a couple of people in here, Steve and Steele, I'm seeing is like you guys are all killing it. I'm like, damn, I'm getting left behind. I was ahead a little bit. I'm all jealous over here. I'm like, damn, I gotta get back on it. And it's only been like a month that I just disappeared. I'm like, it's crazy seeing you guys grow like that. I'm like, you're definitely coming through with your word for sure. So if anybody's thinking about it, just do it because I was in it and now I'm like, gotta catch up. I gotta play catch up.
Yeah,
I
we were
love it.
wondering where you were, brother. We were like, "Where's Jose, man? We haven't seen him in a minute."
Goodness, people started reaching out to me. I'm doing like a couple $1 million deals from some celebrities out that are looking to move to Orlando. So the regular realtor stuff and then sub twos. Just filling up the pipeline with sub twos with single family deals, helping people out. So it's been a little crazy. That's about
Speaking
it.
of sub two, somebody approached me yesterday. One of the people we have making calls for us on the single family side, and she said she has a potential. It's a Florida deal. I want to say she said Jacksonville. I don't remember though, but another sub two out there. So that might be coming up soon. I'll be reaching out to you and all my other Florida people.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
make a trip up there. Heck yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Jose is one of the VIPs, guys. If you just did not, if you were sleeping on what he said, I mean, this guy, it has it together. So reach out to Jose. He's the Florida person that we reach out to, the number
This
one
guy's
person
an
that we reach out to.
OG.
Yeah, one of the OGs. So you guys have any questions, anything, he's very knowledgeable. He's in sub two, he knows creative finance, and he knows multifamily. He's been following us and he's a VIP, so he knows all the stuff in multifamily. So reach out to Jose. His information's right there, guys. Just take a screenshot. You got his number. There you go.
Yep. I'll help in
And
any.
he's just a genuine dude. Like, to be honest with you, man, I loved your energy every time. You're always bringing the charm. Dude, you're like Rico Suave over here the same way, man. You guys
No,
crush
that's
it.
Oscars. 100% I leave that role to him.
Oh man.
Yeah, guys, I'm so proud of everything you guys are doing. The whole team is awesome. You guys are crushing it.
No, thanks, bro. We appreciate you, man. We really do.
Appreciate it, Jose.
All right, guys. Does anybody else have any questions? If not, I mean, did I just do that good of a job 2 times in a row? Is that what happened? Man, I mean, I guess so. But it's understandable. I said it in the beginning, the LOI, it's a super scary sounding process, but it's really not that it's not that scary once you understand it. So hopefully this gave a little bit of clarity on what you'll need, what to do, what to expect when that time when the process comes. And if y'all need any help when the process does come, reach out to one of us or the VIPs or anybody in the community here should be able to help you out. So I don't know. I don't have anything else left to add to that, Oscar.
No, yeah. Let me just answer Christy's question because she asked, "Is 2.0 available now?" So Christy will announce it very soon. Ioni's just making sure that it's all what do you call it? Foolproof at the moment. She's stress testing it right now. So we haven't forgotten about you. I promise you, you guys will be the first ones to know.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on 2.0 as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And she was also thinking about adding some more stuff on there very soon. So she doesn't stop.
Oh
So
man,
expect more in the future.
she's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well then, I think that's a wrap. I think you know what we got to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Man.
Definitely.